So are you thinking about moving to the St. George, Utah area from out of state and you really don't know where to get started? This video is for you as we kind of talk about the ins and outs of moving to a new state. If this is your first time to the channel, my name is Shari Harris. I'm with Fathom Realty, and I absolutely love helping people relocate to this area, whether they're planning on moving here next week, next month, or even next year. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. My contact information is below. And to stay up to date on what's happening in the St. George area, make sure to subscribe and tap the bell for notifications. So the first phase is going to be the research phase, and there's a lot of research and education that goes on during this time period. One thing you need to look at is the current home that you're living in now. Are you renting? If so, when is your lease up? What would it cost to break your lease if you're thinking you want to move before that time period? How much notice do you need to give? All of those things if you're renting. Now, if you own your home, you need to be thinking, do I want to sell my home? Do I want to turn it into an investment property? Or do I want to have two homes? We have a lot of snowbirds here where some come here during the winter since it's nice and mild, and then when it's hot here, they go to their other home. And so looking at the different options, because it's different for everyone. So to kind of start researching and looking into those things first, let's talk about if you just know right now, I'm going to sell my current home. Then it's important to get connected with an agent as soon as possible in your local area. If you don't have an agent there that you feel comfortable with, let me know. I help people move in and out of state, so I've got a lot of connections, and I'd be happy to try to connect you with a good agent in your area who could come and look at your home, give you a good market analysis, tell you what they think your home would sell for. Also kind of update you what's happening in the market where you live. Are homes setting on the market 30, 60, 90 plus days? Are they multiple bids within 24 hours? What is happening in your area is important to know as you're planning out your timeline. They can also point out if there's some things that you could do to help your home stand out, whether it's some fresh paint, flooring, landscaping, just decluttering and a little staging. There's so many different things that can be done to help your home stand out and sell quicker. So really important to have an agent, they're local, to help you figure out what's best for you there. Now let's say you're kind of on the fence. You're not sure, can I keep this home? So talking to a lender is the next step for that. And you'll want to talk to a lender that's licensed in Utah if you're moving here to Utah. And I have some great individuals and teams I work with here that I would be happy to give you their contact information, but really just any lender who is licensed here in Utah. And you can go over the numbers with them. They're going to be looking at your credit score, your debt to income ratio. Can you afford two mortgages if you have a mortgage on your current home and then want to buy here? If you're going to rent it out, kind of helping figure out what will it rent for and how is that going to impact buying here. What about a down payment? They can go over programs they have, look at how much you have saved, or if you need to refinance your current home, if you're trying to keep it, if you could refinance and take some money out of it for a down payment. So there's just so many options. So talking to a licensed lender in Utah to just run through all the different scenarios and figure out what is the best option for you. And then once you kind of know this is how I want to move forward, the lender should be able to help you determine like how much of a home you can afford, what your price point is. Really important to figure that out. They can also get you a pre-qualification letter, which is something that will be required when we submit offers for homes. Or some of the higher end homes, usually it's higher end homes, will require to see that you already are qualified, that you're not just going around looking at houses. And so sometimes they'll request that before scheduling a showing. So getting that pre-qualification helps with that, as well as it is like heartbreaking to find a home that you absolutely love and then talk to a lender and find out that it is above your price point. So figuring that out first so you can really know what you can be looking at is so helpful. So once you know the price point, then you can start figuring out, well, where do I want to live? Do I want to live in St. George? Do I want to live in one of the surrounding towns? What's important to you? If you've got a new job offer here, how close to work do you want to live? Do you have children? What things are important with your kids? Is it the sports, different academics? Is it the dual immersion? Maybe you want them to learn Spanish, Chinese, Portuguese. Maybe they've started in one of those and you want to continue. So it's researching the schools. It's so great to just call and talk to them. And just, I don't know, you can tell a lot about a school as you call and talk to the administration, secretaries, coaches if sports is important, and just kind of get a feel for that, as well as like watching. I have a lot of videos, other people have lots of videos, but just it kind of helps you see the different neighborhoods so you can get a feel for what you like, and also to just start thinking about planning a trip here so that you can drive around and really feel what it's like here. Give me a call and let me know, like, what do you want to do while you're here? Some people come here and it's vacation time and they just want to drive around, see a few of the neighborhoods, meet in person, talk a little bit, but it's not like a serious trip. Others, they're coming and they're like, I'm going to be here for 3 to 5 days, and when I leave, the goal is I have a home under contract. So I just need to know kind of like what it is you want to accomplish. But I will recommend making that time that when you first get here to drive around and start looking in some of the different neighborhoods so that you know, like, maybe a certain neighborhood's totally out, and then we don't schedule homes in that neighborhood and waste everybody's time. As well as stop at some of the restaurants, the grocery stores. If you're going to spend a lot of time at the parks, go check out the parks. Is it close to hiking trails? Kind of just explore as you're here so you can get a feel of the different areas. And also, as we're talking, I can direct you in certain areas as you tell me what you're looking for to help narrow down where exactly you want to be living. Also, another thing to mention, before your trip, I can be setting up daily alerts for you. We can talk about your price point that you got from your lender, how many bedrooms, bathrooms, all those kind of things, square footage, garage space, and set up alerts so that you're getting daily emails with those alerts. So let me know if you want to be set up to receive those. I also want to mention that sometimes I get that your budget makes it really hard for you to plan a trip here, and you've got to move here soon, job offer, whatever's happening, you've got to come quickly. I am happy to do video tours. I've done this many times where I go with my phone, we get on Zoom and I walk around the house, give you a tour of the house. I go outside and walk up and down the street. Sometimes even jump in my car and drive around a little bit if that's helpful to help you kind of see what's going on there. People spend a lot of time also on Google Maps, zooming in with the satellite version, looking at the neighborhoods to get a feel as well. And so there are ways, if you can't get here for a visit before making an offer on a home. I've done it before and I can help you through all those steps. Another thing to research is the cost of living. How do we compare to where you're coming from? Looking at your job offer, or if you already work from home and you're just relocating, whatever your situation may be, it's important to take a moment and look at the cost of housing here versus where you're at, cost of our utilities, groceries, different things like that. There's a good Google search, or you can contact me and I can send you some resources. But just wanting to make sure that the cost of living, you're going to be okay, because we are more expensive in some areas, especially our housing. But other areas, I mean, people come here and they laugh at me when I'm like, this is so expensive. And they're like, no, it's really not. Your utilities are not that high, or your jug of milk is not that expensive. So it really is all relative based upon where you're coming from. But it's important to do that research, because nothing's worse than moving to an area and realizing you can't afford to live here. So do the research on that. Also, if your company is relocating you, or you've been offered a job here, check in and see if they've got some relocating packages, perks, incentives, whatever, that will help cover the cost of moving, because moving is expensive. I'm always surprised. Every time I've moved, I've been surprised at how expensive it has been. So see if you have anything there to help cover that cost, and start budgeting, start doing your research on that. Start calling the moving companies, get some quotes from them, or if you're going to pack yourself, the rental trucks, what is that going to cost you? Also, if you're going to have to fly out, drive out, there's just those different expenses that just come with moving, getting your vehicles there. I know some clients have sold one vehicle off so they didn't have to bring both across the country. And so there's just different things to look into. Also at this time, I highly recommend that you are decluttering, going through your stuff, deciding like what you really want to take with you. Sometimes it really doesn't make sense to move everything. It's expensive. It might not even fit in your new home. So going through, and maybe it's better to donate or sell off some of your furniture. I know at one of my moves from Utah to Colorado, so not across the country, but still a little bit. We were moving to a much smaller location, or much smaller home, and we had to get rid of a lot of stuff. And so we had yard sales. I had a lot of furniture moving from a large home to an apartment, so we didn't have as many bedrooms. So furniture needed to be sold off, and we weren't going to have a yard, and so all that kind of stuff. So I sold off all of that stuff, and was actually super blessed that it was able to cover the cost of the rental truck. Really helped us. It was during, if anybody remembers, 2008, 2009, lots of struggle with layoffs and stuff. So money was tight during that time and hard for a lot of people. So we had to sell off a lot of our stuff, but it covered our move, which was great. But when we got there, I still had brought too much stuff and had to sell more of my stuff and give away as we got there. And sometimes some things are not worth selling, and it's just donate it and stuff. What your patience level is. So, but just start going through that stuff and making those decisions. And if you're going to be buying new as you move here, you can start shopping and seeing how far out. Like, can you wait and just get here and order some of the furniture, or do you need to order it in advance once you know kind of more like this is when we're closing on a home, so we want the washer and the dryer and the refrigerator and all that to be arriving on the day after we close or whatever. So just things to keep in mind. Also, if you are packing everything yourself, don't forget that you've got to buy the packing supplies, the boxes and the wrap and all of that. If money's really tight, there are ways to help with that. Grocery stores, liquor stores have great boxes. Talk to a local agency if they know anybody that's recently moved here and they've got, looking to see if anybody's recently moved here and they're unloading boxes, and you can get those. Facebook Marketplace, I've seen boxes on there for free or really cheap as people are getting rid of stuff. So that's one way to kind of get your boxes, to cut down on the cost of those. But all of the different moving companies will have stuff like that, and a lot of them, if you don't use everything, you can return it for a refund. Or if you're having somebody doing all the packing for you, which is amazing when that works out, then just declutter so they're not packing stuff that you did not want to take in the first place. So that's kind of that kind of moving stuff. Oh, actually, let's talk about storage units. Sometimes you need a storage unit because there's going to be a gap between the moving from one home to the other. And so calling around and talking to some of the storage units and see if they have open spaces, if they're almost full or not, and what their terms are. And, do you have to rent for 3, 6, 9 months, a whole year, or if they do month to month, those kind of things, what kind of deposit, just kind of figure out the information just in case that is something you're going to need in your move. And so once you've kind of gathered all this information, you can have this budget for your cost of moving and what the cost is going to be as you move there. Usually a home here, once it goes under contract, can close within 30 days. I know that can be a little different state to state. So, but all this is negotiable. So it's really important to have great communication going between everyone on all ends. The agent that might be listing your house, and me here helping you buy, and then the home you are buying. And so there are options, so we can get into details for your specific situation, but just to kind of give you an idea, sometimes you can close on your house but lease it back, and so that gives you a month or even 2 months sometimes to find a home and get moved to Utah. So that's one thing. Lease it back. Sometimes that just doesn't work, and you've got to find a little temporary home in between. I've helped clients with looking on Airbnb for like a month rental. Shout outs, I can send emails out to all the agents, and sometimes they have connections with somebody who's got, just a short-term 30-day or month-to-month type of rental. Hotels, I know it's not a favorite, but sometimes it's a short-term, just a week in a hotel. There's also KSL.com. They have classifieds. Sometimes you can find short-term rentals there. And then Facebook groups. If you're on Facebook, just looking for St. George word of mouth, St. George homes, rentals, stuff like that. These different groups. St. George Moms Helping Moms. I don't know. There's all these groups. And you can kind of post in there what you're looking for. And sometimes you can find somebody who's got a little space to just help you in that transition. And that's when the storage unit also comes in handy, is to have somewhere to put your stuff during that short time period. And sometimes, and this is the best, is when you're able to close on your home in that state, wherever you're coming from, travel here, and move right in, and there's no delays. As far as signing documents, we do it with a title company here. I know other states are different. And I have a lot of clients who actually aren't here to sign documents for closing, but title can send a notary to you with all the documents to get everything signed, and then they overnight it here. It takes a little planning to make sure that we make time for the overnighting and don't delay closing that way, but totally doable, and actually super common to sign documents that way. As you're looking at homes and for sure like more of your timeline for moving, and we write up a contract, we can work in there kind of the details of when you'd like to close. Like I said, typically 30 days, but negotiable. I'd love to talk to the other agent and find out, like, does the seller, are they needing time to lease back? What's a win-win to help make your offer as strong as possible? But during this 30 days or more, whatever ends up being, there are different deadlines that we will pay attention to, such as the due diligence, which gives you more time to research the neighborhood, to have inspections on anything that you want on the home inspections, looking at the pipes or the roof in more detail, or sewer, or whatever, like testing for meth or radon. There's so many, and we have a whole document of things that you can check out. And so we go over that, figure out which inspections you want. I help get it scheduled. Sometimes you're not here, so we're talking over the phone or video calls with the different inspectors. The inspectors have amazing reports, very detailed, with pictures, that makes it very convenient when you're far away to be able to see exactly what is coming up as they're inspecting the home, to make sure that the home is in pretty good condition. And if not, if there's any major concerns, we can go back to renegotiating. So you don't have to be here for all of that. We can make a lot of it work. And then also just working with your lender to make sure you're getting all the documents to them that they need throughout this time period, so that you can close on time. And there's also some provisions in the contract if something goes wrong with your financing, to pull out before a certain deadline. And I make sure that you know what these deadlines are, and that everything is going along as smoothly as possible. And if there's any red flags or anything coming up anywhere, like if your home with your listing agent, if they're seeing signs that maybe it's not going to close on time, so then you're not going to have the money to close on the home here. We're going to be discussing all of that and working on it the whole time, so that we can make everything absolutely as smooth as possible. So I would also recommend, I know we talked earlier about getting all those quotes, but as soon as we have the date of moving, get everything scheduled with your movers or renting the truck. Start looking at any memberships that you have and get those canceled or transferred if it's a national company that can transfer with you. Just look at those things. Going to the post office and arranging your mail to be forwarded. You'll want to talk to your bank, credit card companies to give them your new address. You can do it just before you move or after you've moved, but it's important to let them know where you are now living. You'll also want to look at your utilities from getting them turned off where you're at or transferred to the new owners, as well as probably about 5 to 7 days before closing on the home here in Utah. I would recommend that you talk to each of the utility companies and give them the dates of transfer. It's the worst to arrive at your home and have your, water or electricity turned off and then have to pay the fee to reconnect. So making sure that you do that. Some of the companies need 2 to 4 business day notice. And so I recommend doing the 5 to 7 days before closing to make sure they have those transfer dates. Some places you do call on the phone and some have a way you can just go online and do it. And I would make sure you knew who your utility companies were and different options for internet providers as well. Internet sometimes I've seen be booked out a little bit further, so if you would be in a pickle if you did not have internet upon the day you moved in, then I would recommend maybe even contacting the internet companies a little bit earlier, maybe even the 2-week mark, to make sure that you can get that. I'll arrange somebody out to get that going for you. Also with your packing, make sure that you've some of the necessities, because there are sometimes delays happen with your truck if you have somebody else bringing it to you and it gets here late. So making sure that you have some of the necessities, clothing to change into for a few days, the personal hygiene items, some cleaning items can be super helpful. Some dishes, whether it's disposable dishes, something so you can actually eat is great. If you're driving your own truck, just pack some boxes that are put on very, very last. Mark them very clearly what they are, so they're right there at the back of the truck, so they're easy to grab. I did have one move where we arrived and there were delays. We couldn't get moved into our place, and we had an amazing family that let us stay with them, and all of our stuff stayed in the moving truck for almost a week. And it was also the first week of school in a new area for my kids, so it was a little crazy. And it was those suitcases and boxes that were kept separate that absolutely saved us during this time. So just be aware, occasionally little hiccups happen, and so keep some of the stuff that you would need immediately within easy access if at all possible. I know if you're flying and they're driving across country, that can be a little bit trickier, but just think about that, clothes and different things like that to help you get by. Another thing to keep in mind is cleaning. You're gonna need to clean the place you're leaving for whoever's moving in. If it was a rental, you want to get it as clean as possible so that you can get your deposit back. So getting it clean, and then if you're selling your home, it's just so nice, and usually in the contract to have it clean. Some people go above and beyond to leave it super clean, and some do just, but I do love to leave things nice and clean. So if at all possible within your budget, I highly recommend you just hire someone to do the clean for you. Moving is stressful and it's exhausting. So if you can hire some people to come do that final clean as you're leaving, that can be so nice. Or if you have some good friends or family that can just pitch in and come help you with that, it's this is a time to ask for that help. So you want that to leave that clean, but you also want to move into a clean place, and hopefully they have left it clean for you, but there's something about just having it cleaned yourself. So if at all possible as well, hiring someone to clean your place before you move in is super nice. So, or be prepared with your cleaning supplies to do that upon your arrival, to get it cleaned so you can get moved in and settled. Also make sure that before you leave town that you've left your keys, garage openers, whatever, with your listing agent or whatever directions they have given you there. Here in Utah, after documents are signed, title keeps track of everything, make sure the money has funded, and once they get the clear, then they record it with the county, state, who the new homeowners are, and at that point we are able to get the keys. So then I have the keys for you to give to you to your new home. If you're not here yet, I just hold on to those for you until you arrive. If you are here, then we will get together and get you into your new home, and that is like the most exciting moment. So I love that. So as you're settling in, a couple things not to forget is to go to the DMV, a Department of Motor Vehicle. Is that what it is? I don't know. Anyway, make sure you go to the DMV to get your license switched over to your new address here and register to vote. Also, they will talk about this, the title company, at closing. We have different tax rates, property taxes, based upon whether this is your primary residence or secondary. And so there is a document or a place online where you go and make sure that you put that this is your primary residence. If it's going to be, it will be a lower property tax, but know that they do checks. So it's important to make sure that your driver's license has been changed over to your address here, because if you put in that it is your primary residence and they do a check and find that your driver's license doesn't match here, then they will revert it back to a secondary, and you will be taxed at that higher tax rate on your property. So something important to just make sure you take care of. The title company I work with always has a copy of the document, as well as Washington County sends you a letter in the mail, and I can also tell you where to go online to take care of that. So that's something to take care of in the first 30 days of moving here. And at this point, just if you've missed any of those steps with letting your banks know you're here, getting memberships changed over, utilities, like any of that stuff, just gotta make sure all that stuff is lined up and settle into your new beautiful home. I know moving can be so stressful, and I would love to be able to help guide you through the process. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me. My contact information is below. I will talk to you soon.